Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you two simple ways to animate text in Procreate. I'm going to first show you how to do this one here, which is a typewriter animation, which is pretty cool and it's super easy to do. And then we're going to do this wiggly one, which is also very easy. Alright, let's get started. Okay, to start, we're just going to create a canvas that is the screen size here. You can create any size you like. Now, I like to have a little bit of texture in my design, so I'm going to import a watercolor paper to place over the top. So I'm just going to go to the wrench, go to Add, then Insert Photo. And then I've got some watercolor paper here. And I'm going to set that to darken color. I'm going to set that to a linear burn and maybe touch down. That looks pretty good. If you want that, I will link it in the description below. And then I'm going to create another layer and place that below the watercolor layer. In fact, I'm going to lock the watercolor one. And this is the layer we're going to put our text on. So I'm going to go to the wrench again and then select Add Text. And I will type out the word. You can do whatever word you like. And then if I double click it and select it, I'm going to go into here and find a font. Now I want a script font because I think that looks pretty good. And I'm going to select this one here called Sea Salt, and I will link that below as well. And I am going to increase the size. I can use these little blue dots to drag it out. I just want it quite big, and I may adjust the kerning a little. And then you just need to click Done. And then I'm going to just center that on the canvas. Okay, so this layer here is actually going to be our guide, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rasterize that. So to do that, just click on the layer and then select Rasterize. And then I'm going to lower the opacity, and then we're going to turn on Animation Assist. So if we go to the wrench again and then go to Canvas and then Animation Assist, and then that will bring up the frames down here. We've got 3 at the moment. One's our watercolor paper, one's the text, and one is the background, or that's that spare layer that we had. We can get rid of that. And so what we want to do is make the watercolor layer the foreground layer, and that will mean that that will stay throughout the whole animation. So when we add frames, it will always have that on top. And then for the moment, we're going to set this one as the background. So if I click on it and then background, and then we've got another frame in between, which is going to be, then we need to add a frame here, sorry, and this is going to be the start of our animation frames. And I'm going to bump down the opacity of that one as we want it to just be visible. And then what I want to do is select it. So if I click on there and then click on Select, and that has selected that text. And then if I go to the first frame, frame number 1, I have got the same color selected, and then I'm going to select a brush, and I'm just going to use the calligraphy chalk brush. And I'm going to just, see, we've lost our selection, go back here, select, and then go to the frame 1, select our brush, and then just paint a little bit of the beginning. And then what you want to do is click on that frame and then duplicate it, and then we're going to paint a little bit more. Click on it, duplicate it, paint a bit more, click on it, duplicate it, paint a bit more. So I'm going to continue doing this for the whole word. So I might speed it up a bit, but basically you just keep adding to it, and you can see what will happen at the end when we make it go. And try and follow the direction of how it was written. So if you were to write this yourself, you would go down, up, down, around. So make sure you follow that natural flow. Okay, we made it to the end. So now we can deselect that original layer, and let's click on play. And that's looking pretty good. I'm going to turn off that original layer, which is down the bottom. We don't need that anymore, and let's give that another go. That looks pretty good. Now we can play with the settings. You can increase the speed by just upping the frames per second, or you can make it slower. You could also change it to ping pong. So let's see what that does. Then it goes backwards, which is kind of cool. Another thing I like to do is add a couple of blank frames at the end. So I'm just going to go to that top layer in here and just add a couple more just to give it a pause, maybe 3. And that way it'll pause at the end before it goes back. And let's try it on loop again. And it just pauses a little bit longer at the end. I could probably increase that. But there you go, there's a really simple, easy way to animate text. And now the next one we're going to do is the wriggle one. So I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to create another canvas the same size, import my watercolor paper, change the blending mode to linear burn, and I will lock that. And then I'm just going to go and copy the text, and that will save me having to write it out again. So I'm going to go to the bottom, copy that original layer, and then go back to my new canvas, 3 fingers to swipe down and then paste. And now that needs to go at the bottom. And then we can turn on Animation Assist. So go to the wrench tool, go to Canvas, Animation Assist. And then I'm just going to set that watercolor to the foreground. And we don't need a background for this one. We can use that as frame 1, the text as frame 1. So all I'm going to do here is duplicate that, then go to Adjustments, and then select Liquify. And then with this, you want to make sure that push is on, and then you may need to play with the size here. You don't want it too big, as that will move everything. If I lower it down, you can get it to move just a little bit of the text, and that's what you want. You want this to be really subtle. So just go around and nudge it in different places. This only needs to be really subtle. And then release that by just clicking on the adjustments again. And then we just want to duplicate that and then repeat the process. Now if you can't see underneath the previous layer, if I just go back out again, you can adjust the onion skin opacity. So if you adjust it so that you can just slightly see the layer underneath, that will help you to know where you want to push it. So we've got that layer selected. We'll go to Liquify and then just do some more gentle nudging. Okay, and let's see what that looks like. Okay, that's way too fast. Let's change the frames per second down to a little bit slower. And that's looking pretty good. I reckon I'd probably do maybe 2 more of those, so I'm going to repeat the process twice more. Okay, let's give that one a go. Okay, that's looking pretty cool. And that's it. Thank you for sticking with me. I hope you found this tutorial helpful and enjoyable. Be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with your creative friends, and hit that subscribe button to stay updated with more relaxing Procreate tutorials. Till next time, stay creative and keep dreaming.